Hey guys, Smail here with another video about AI for money and business. So in this video, you'll be able to process invoices super fast using n8n and Python. And before we get started, let me show you the end result. It all starts with some invoices that you have in your Google Drive. For example, this invoice here. Then we have our n8n automation. Let's start it. It should take a few seconds. Okay, great. Now it has worked. Let's see what's the output. First, we have everything that was extracted and written into a Google Sheet. So we have the invoice number, the client's name, and so on. Once the automation is done, the PDF is moved to another folder, so the output folder, so that we have all our invoices super well organized. And obviously, you will be able to download this automation for free via the link in the description. But before we get started, let me tell you guys how do you access this automation. So first, you will click on the link in the description, then you will end up in my Discord community. Then here you will click on resources, access the pinned message that you can see here. Then click on it. You will end up on this landing page where you can access all of my automations. So if you are already a member and you have logged in previously, just click here, type in your email and then click on login now. Otherwise, just type in your name here and your email and then click on give me access. You will be receiving a confirmation code so that I can make sure that it is not a bot trying to access my resources. Once you type it here, you just click on confirm my email. Then you will have access to my complete resources hub for free and you can download anything that you can see here. For example, for this automation, you just click here and then you'll be able to download everything. Now let me show you guys how this automation works. It all starts with the Google Drive file created. Here obviously you should authenticate with your Google Drive account, so you can do it. It's very fast and very easy to configure. Then here you should select trigger on changes involving a specific folder. Then here obviously you will look for your input folder in Google Drive. Then here we select file created in the section watch for. The second node here is to download this file. So it's very easy. Here you will select file and then for the operation download. And we will select it by the ID. And here this is the ID that was returned by the previous node. The next node here is a code node, so it's using JavaScript. And the reason is that we first need to convert the binary data, basically the output from this node, into a string, so like a series of characters, which is a specific type of string called a base 64 string. And the reason we need to do that is Gemini actually needs it in order to analyze the data inside of this document. The most important lines in this code block is here const binary data equal, and then we get the actual binary data from the file, and then here we just convert it into a base 64 string. And obviously we return it as the key is base 64 PDF. The next node is an HTTP node because we'll be making a request to Gemini servers so that it will analyze the data and then extract key information from it. We'll be selecting a post method because we'll be sending some information. Here we'll be using the endpoint that is used by Gemini to communicate with their servers and get data from their AI models. We select none as the authentication because it will be part of the parameters. Here we should toggle on send query parameters. And for the query parameters, we need to add one parameter. Here its name is key and its value will be your Gemini API key. Then as I told you, we need also to send a body within this request. The first part of this body is the prompt, and this is what I wrote inside this prompt. So extract the following information from this invoice PDF and return only a valid JSON object with these exact fields. So invoice number, client name, client email, client address, client phone, invoice date, due date, and total amount. If any field is missing or cannot be found, use an empty string. Return only the JSON object, no other text. The second part of this body is something called the MIME type, basically the type of file that we are sending. So here we should select application PDF. And then the third and last part of our body request is the actual data that we send. which is obtained from the base64 PDF variable that we just processed earlier. After getting our result from Gemini, we need to process it. That's why we also need here a code block that I called parse Gemini response. What we are doing very simply is that first we are cleaning the text and then converting it into JSON. And here also we are looking for missing fields in case Gemini couldn't extract some data or that some data was missing. And the reason we need this extra code is that we'll have an additional column called not. And in case some of those fields are empty, we will add it inside of this note column. So as you can see, we are returning every single data here so that it will be ready to be processed by Google Sheets. The next node is a Google Sheet node where we will be appending a row inside of our Google Sheet. Before I show it to you, what you need, guys, is a Google Sheet where you will have those columns here. So invoice underscore number, client underscore name, and so on and so forth. Basically, exactly what was returned by the previous code block. And then this node is very simple to configure. You'll just obviously authenticate with Google Sheets. And then here the operation will be append row from the list. And then you select your Google Sheet from the list of sheets that you have in your Google Drive. Obviously, here you select the right tab. So by default, it will be called Sheet 1 if you didn't modify it. And then here for the mapping, you will just select map automatically. The reason why we select map automatically is that here the data that is outputted by our previous code block is exactly the same column names that we have in our Google Sheet. That's why it is very easy to do the mapping. And then finally, after we have added this new row into our Google Sheet, we'll be moving our PDF from the input folder to the output folder. We do that via this node. Here the resource will be a file, the operation will be a move, and then we'll be selecting this document by this identifier. And then here you'll just select your destination folder. For me, it is called Invoices Output folder. So as you can see, this is a very simple and straightforward automation, but that can save businesses a lot of time. After I built the n8n automation, I converted that automation into Python code because at the end of the day, we want robust and reliable automations that can work for businesses. So remember that building prototypes on n8n is good, but what we want is to have something in production on Python because it's a much more mature technology than n8n. Before I show you how the Python code works, let me show you the end result. And basically what we'll be doing is almost the same thing as I showed you previously, but we'll be using an invoice with a missing item inside of it. So let me run it. Okay, it has worked. Let's see the output. So this is the output. As you can see, exactly the same data, but here the invoice number is missing, and in the note we have missing fields invoice number, and this can be seen in the original invoice PDF. Okay, before I dive into the code, let me show you guys what should be contained inside of your .env file so that you will have all the data that is necessary to run this Python code. First, you need to write the Gemini model that you will be using. I personally use Gemini 3 Pro. But guys, feel free to write any other model that you like. Here for the drive token path and the sheets token path, you will just keep it as it is. Then here you will write your Gemini API key. For the input and the output folder IDs, it is very easy to get. Once you are inside of your folder, you will just copy this code here. This corresponds to the ID of that folder. For the spreadsheet ID, also very easy to get. You will go inside of your invoices Google Sheet and then you will copy this code here. And then obviously paste it there. And for the sheet name, I kept sheet 1 because this is the by default name and you can see it here. But of course, if you renamed this sheet, feel free to change it also in your .env file. Before doing anything with this code, we first need to generate some files that contain tokens for your drive and your sheets. So what you need to do is to first comment this line and then uncomment this one, generate drive token. What this function needs is your JSON file that contains the Google Cloud credentials. So when you will be going to Google Cloud, you will be able to download a JSON file. Just download it and place it in the same folder of your Python file. And the same file will be required for the generate drive token and the generate sheets token functions. Once you will run this function, it will open up a new tab inside of your browser, just like this. And then you will click on continue here. And then you will just click on continue And then obviously you will have this message: the authentication flow has completed. You may close this window. And what it will be doing in the back end is that it will be creating a file called drive token. Once this step is done, you will comment this one and then uncomment this one and run it again. You will follow the same process and another file will be created. And basically those two files will be required to complete this automation. This Python code is running through this main function here, and this function contains all of our n8n nodes. And if you have seen my previous videos, what I like to do is to convert every single node into like a Python function. So this node here corresponds to this function, then this one corresponds to this one, then we are converting the data into base 64 via this function. We are extracting the key information with Gemini via this function, parse it here. The next step will be to append the data into Google Sheets. And then the final step is to move the document into the processed folder. Obviously, you will be able to download for free the n8n automation as well as its corresponding Python file so that you can run both of them. I hope you enjoyed the video, you learned some things. I will see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.